Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about getting my first buyer from the open houses that I talked about in my last video, how I work with them, and I finally got them to put an offer on a house and it's finally under contract. So I'm going to go over all those things, how I got there, how I got my first buyer into contract within the first 2 months of becoming a real estate agent, and then for you guys to let me know if that's rather quick or maybe that took longer than it should have. But let me know what you guys think about my experience. Hopefully me sharing my experience to all the other agents that are watching right now, we can compare and kind of contrast our journey as new real estate agents and in the world of real estate. So my name is Dan, and if you're new to this channel, I talk about finance topics, how to find the best value in things in everyday life in general, like going to the grocery store or investing your money, just how to save and invest your money to grow it in the long term. In addition to that, I will share my journey as a real estate agent, whether it's just my journey, tips, and advice. So if that's appealing to you, then please consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up. So the first topic we're going to talk about is how I actually got this buyer lead. And if you haven't watched my previous videos, I've been doing open houses for a couple of more experienced agents at my office at Douglas Elliman. At my first open house, this is where the buyer lead actually came from. And I didn't actually meet this buyer at the open house. I was taking care of another buyer downstairs while my other agent or my other colleague and the listing agent was with this buyer, and she was upstairs with them. Because of COVID, we didn't want other buyers to be in close proximity to each other inside the house during the open house, so we tried to split them amongst different floors. So after the open house, a couple of buyers put in offers on that house specifically, and this specific buyer that eventually became our buyer lead put in an offer on the house which was less than the listing price. And if you guys didn't know, the buyer market is kind of crazy right now. It's super hot and everyone is putting offers above listing price, whether it's because they're moving from the big cities into the suburbs. They're more willing to put in an offer that's more competitive and often is above listing price. So because of that, this specific buyer that I eventually got as a lead lost the bidding war on the house, and that's how we kind of got him. We knew that he was a very serious buyer because he put an offer on a house, so we wanted to act fast and kind of prioritize him and finding him another house. So that leads into our second topic or second phase of this story, which is actually working with this buyer. It starts off with me contacting him after the open house and after knowing that his offer wasn't the winning offer and the seller did not accept it. So I gave him a call, introduced myself because I didn't actually meet him. So I tried to remind him who I was. I was working with my other real estate agent that was there, and reminded him about the house, the neighborhood, who I was, and I'm willing to help him find something else because that one didn't work out. Luckily, the first time I called him, he actually picked up the phone. You might find out that when you're calling these buyer leads from all the numbers that they provide at the open house, they usually don't like picking up or don't want to be bothered by real estate agents. They just kind of put their number because they had to. But luckily for this buyer, he actually picked up the phone. So our first discussion was actually kind of short. He seemed to be in a rush going somewhere, but he was able to tell me that, yes, here's my criteria. If you find me something that I like, I would love to work with you and take a look at some homes. And the criteria that I found out from him the first time was that his price range was in the same range of the previous house at $1.3 million, and he wanted a basement with an outside entrance, and most importantly, he wanted to be in a rather new construction or new build home. So the houses in that criteria were actually very limited because there are not many new homes being constructed in the market at that price range. So after a few weeks of sending him listings of new construction builds that are coming up and seeing if he was interested, he said that he actually saw a bunch of them already because they were on the market for a couple weeks or a couple months, and that he wasn't interested in seeing those, or he wasn't interested when he saw them already. And eventually we actually got a house that was listed by one of our other agents in the office, and we thought that it would be a perfect fit for him because it was a house that was built in 2018, so fairly new. It was in that price range of $1.3 million. It had the outside entrance into the basement. And when I sent the listing, all the pictures, he saw that The property was actually really close to an intersection, and he really did not like that and didn't want to be anywhere close to an intersection. So that was good to learn from him, that I should avoid houses in an intersection. But while I was on the phone with him discussing if he would like this house or not, he actually pulled up Zillow while we were on the call together, and he actually referenced another house that he thought he liked. So he told me the address of the house. I pulled it up and I realized that this house was actually not a new construction build. It was like built in the 60s but recently renovated maybe 10 years ago. So I asked him, this is a rather old house but newly renovated. Are you interested in newly renovated homes even if they were built 40, 50 years ago? And he said, yes, of course. I don't need it to be a new construction. I'm okay with an older home that was recently renovated. So I was super excited about this news, even though it wasn't what he told me. Maybe his ideas and criteria has changed in the past couple of weeks, but this opened the door for a bunch of other properties that I could show him, or at least send him or email him listings of to see if he's interested in. So for that specific home that he told me about on Zillow, it ended up being in an intersection, so he didn't like that home, but I was able to find a bunch of other homes to show him, or at least send him in an email to see which ones he liked. So within the next day or two, I sent him about 10 listings, all in the same criteria of newly renovated homes in that certain price range and in that school district. After a couple of days of him going through it, I asked him again via text, and he said none of the 10 that I sent him were of interest to him. So I thought, dang, like these homes I thought were matched his other matched the style of the home that he likes pretty well. I don't know why he didn't like any of them, but let's just make sure that he actually saw all the homes. So I actually screenshotted one of the homes that I thought he would like the most out of the list of 10 that I sent him, and I sent him the picture of it, and I said, what about this one? Do you like this specific home? And he said, yes, this one actually looks really great and it fits the style that me and my wife likes. And I thought, wow, that's I sent him that home, but maybe he just didn't see it. So I actually called the listing agent immediately to see if the house was still available, because it was available the week prior when I sent it to him, but things change quickly in this market. And when I called the listing agent, she told me that this house actually has an acceptable offer on it. There's an inspection in 2 days, but if your buyer still wants to see the house, knowing that, they can come in, as quick as possible before the inspection, preferably on that Monday before the inspection on Tuesday. So I let the buyer know that this is what's happening. If you really want to see the house, we can show it to you, but there is an acceptable offer on the table and it's just pending an inspection on Tuesday. So he said, I'll be there on Monday. Let's do the viewing on that Monday at 4. And I said, great, let's schedule the appointment. But I reminded him that if you really want the home, then wouldn't you want your wife to be there too? And he was like, you know what, that's right. Like I would have went there on Monday and then I would have had to gone back with my wife on the weekend. So I said, try your best to bring your family as well, and we can get this all done in one shot. And hopefully she likes it as well. So he came back to me, he said his wife can do it at 4 o'clock. So the appointment, got there, did the tour with the listing agent and with my colleague that I did the open house with. They ended up loving the home and wanted to put an offer on it immediately. So we were kind of short on time. There was an inspection the next day and we had to kind of find out what they were willing to put an offer on, or how much they were willing to offer on the house. And we figured that out all in that evening. Sent in the offer, I think at 9 p.m. The next day, the listing agent came back to us and said that the seller wanted to give all the offers, or all the buyers who put in an offer, a second opportunity to do a best and final offer, because the offers were really close in price. And luckily, the highest offer, the inspection that was going to happen on that Tuesday, fell through. So that gave us an opportunity to come in and be the best offer that is on the table. So that's exactly what we did. We talked to the buyer, we let him know exactly what was happening. He ended up bumping his offer up $10,000. His offer was also mostly cash, so it wasn't contingent on a mortgage or a mortgage contingency. So that is what made his offer stand out, or what made our offer stand out more than the other buyers. And a day later, the listing agent let us know that our offer was accepted. And we were super ecstatic about it. Now we had to schedule the inspection We had to make sure that our buyer has an attorney so they can write up the contract or at least review the contract from the seller's side. And we had to kind of scramble to get all this done in the next couple of days because we didn't want other buyers to come back and up their offer to try and beat us out. So we kind of rushed our buyer to find an inspector. We gave him some recommendations on inspectors and attorneys, but he ended up finding his own inspector because all the inspectors that we offered or recommended were booked up for the week. So he had an inspector come out. We ended up doing the inspection 3 days after we toured the home on that Monday. So on that Thursday we had the inspection. The inspection was fine. There were some minor things that they had to negotiate. But after that, a couple of days later, the seller's attorneys wrote up a contract, sent it over to the buyer's attorney. There was a little bit of a discussion or a slight hiccup here and there about in terms of figuring out what to put in the contract. There were some terms that were changed by the buyer or the buyer's attorney, and we had to figure that out. And eventually, after a week of negotiating back and forth, the buyer's attorney sent back the signed contract over to the seller, and the seller signed it. So we have an executed contract, and now it's officially under contract. So that's kind of it for the story. Hopefully you enjoyed the A to Z process of how all that went down, and either hopefully you learned something from that or you experienced something similar when you were working with one of your clients if you're a real estate agent. But that's everything we go through as a real estate agent, guiding our buyers through the process and finding them homes that they might enjoy. So I think I was a little bit lucky in terms of finding a buyer who was so ready to move. It just so happened that they sold their home recently and they were going to closing for their home, so they wanted their kids to get into this new school district on this upcoming school year in September, so they knew they had to buy something within the month. So I think I was a little bit lucky in terms of finding a buyer who was so willing or so ready to move, but I think I was able to communicate very well with him. I gave him a call every day or every other day, at least updating him about some houses that I found. And of course the lucky break when I sent him the screenshot of the house that he already saw, but I just wanted to see if he really did see it or not, and he ended up loving the home from the pictures, and eventually that's the house they bought. So excited for my buyers. I'm excited to have my first contract under me. I'm excited to work with my other buyers that I have or other buyer leads that I have and see if I can get another one done as soon as possible, help another buyer move into their dream home. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions or comments about my experience, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the story, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.